A very happy morning, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you to the 30th session, which is going to be a very exciting and very informative session. BA History Program, second semester. I am Sudhaji, Assistant Professor, Department of History, GFGC, Ripanpet. Before starting the session, can you name the community of Rajasthan who are known for their valor, chastity and follow Johar system to protect their personal honor at the cost of their life? Yes, your answer is right. It's Rajputs. Today, let us learn about the diplomacy of Akbar behind Rajput policy. Students have got a bird's eye view of Akbar's early life and his achievements. Learning objectives of today's session: to enable the students to learn about the chief features of Rajput policy followed by Akbar, to make them to understand the impact of Rajput policy on Mughal administration. Learning outcome of today's session: at the end of the session, students will recall the reasons behind the Rajput policy of Akbar. They will appreciate Akbar, who used Rajput policy as an instrument of closer relations between Hindu and Muslims. To begin with, Rajput policy of Akbar was initially a coalition but later formed the basis for a broad liberal tolerant policy. The Rajput policy of Akbar has been learned by the historians through different literary sources. Among them, worthy to mention Akbar Nama by Abul Fazl, Muntakab ul Tawarik by Badauni, Tabakat-e-Akbari by Khwaja Nizamuddin Ahmad, Tarikh-e-Akbar Shahi by Muhammad Arif Kandari, Secretarial Records of the Mughal Empire, etc. It was the result of a deliberate policy and was based on the principles of enlightened self-interest, recognition of merits, justice and fair play. Akbar was the first Muslim ruler who conceived clearly that there could be no permanent Muslim empire without the Rajputs, no social and political synthesis without their intelligent and active cooperation. Hence, he followed a liberal policy towards the Rajputs. Basically, the Rajputs had ever been the most determined enemies of the Muslim conquerors, whom Akbar would turn as a warm friends. He conciliated the Rajputs from motives of policy. He had the insight that his empire, if it was to be stable, must be broad based upon the loyalty of all sections of people. Hence, he wanted to enlist the sympathy and support of the Rajputs. This became the basis of his Rajput policy. Let us focus now upon the chief features of Rajput policy. You may raise a question that why did Akbar wanted to have a personal relations particularly with Rajputs? Because Rajputs were brave, courageous and would never submit themselves. They won't even tolerate any kind of insult. According to Chanakya, Varam prana parityago manabhango jevanat pranatyage kshanam dukkam manabhange dine dine. It means it is better to die than to lose prestige. Death gives a moment's sorrow, but loss of prestige gives sorrow for day to day. So Rajputs were such people who gave more importance to self-respect than to their life. Hence, Akbar was very particular to have friendly relationship with the Rajputs. Here, he followed matrimonial alliances with Rajputs. Akbar married Princess of Amber, Princess of Jodhpur, and Princess of Jaisalmer. And his son Jahangir also married daughter of Raja Bhagavan Das. Almost all Muslim rulers followed polygamy, that means marrying more than one wife. Akbar himself had married many Muslim princes, among them Ruqayya Sultan Begum was his consort. In addition to her, he also married Maryam uz Zamani, Salima Sultana, Begum Qasima, Banu Begum Bibi, Daulat Shah, Bakari Begum, and Gohar Unnisa Begum. Yes, he married Rajput princes also in addition to all these Muslim princes through matrimonial alliances. Polygamy means a marriage where we'll get married with more than one wife. It's not good both for individual honor and for physical health. Yet, the Mughals, particularly Muslim rulers, did it since they belonged to royal family. And I think they might have misinterpreted the provisions of Quran as far as the polygamy is concerned. Let me explain. Listen to me carefully. In Quran, permission to marry more than one wife is given under highly exceptional circumstances with a stringent condition attached to it. Polygamy was allowed for the benefit of orphans and widow women who were their guardians and caretaker. Polygamy is neither a privilege nor a pleasure for the men. It's a kind of responsibility. But during Akbar's period, it was happened that he had established matrimonial alliances with Rajputs also. They formed the military aristocracy of the Hindu society. Rajput was a clan where they are born soldiers. Akbar knew that with their support, he would be able to check his enemies. It was this insecurity of position as much as political consideration that prompted him to make friendly relationship with the Rajputs by matrimonial alliances. The second feature of his Rajput policy was appointment of Rajputs to high posts. Raja Todarmal was his revenue minister. Birbal, Bairamal, Bhagavan Das, Man Singh were commander-in-chief. Why he had offered highest post to them in the Mughal government? Why? Because by offering them high posts in his court, army and administration, he made the Rajputs loyal supporters of Akbar and the bulwark of the Mughal Empire. Nearly half of the soldiers in the Mughal army were Hindus. His Rajput relatives were treated as members of the royal family. Now, religious independence. Akbar allowed his Rajput queens to build temples, worship their gods, and they could celebrate festivals. Akbar himself participated enthusiastically in the Hindu festivals. Due course of his campaigns, Akbar did not indulge in the policy of temple demolition and image breaking. In order to please the Hindus, he forbade the slaughter of animals and cows on certain days also. It shows his religious tolerance, Sarvadharma Sahishnuta. Next, reforms in Rajput society. Akbar also attempted to remove sati system, child marriage, and royal sanction to widow remarriage. You find out the year in which sati system was abolished with the effort of whom. That's a part of an assignment to you. And respect to the defeated rulers. Undoubtedly, Akbar fought battles against the Rajputs who opposed him. But after their submission, he treated them kindly and never tried to humiliate them. For example, when the king of Mewar refused to establish matrimonial relations with him, that was considered as a challenge to the imperial authority of Akbar, and he waged war against him and took his capital also. Next, personal relations. You can raise a question: what made Akbar to be so liberal with Rajputs? That is because of the reasons. Let me explain. To win the confidence of Hindus in general and of Rajputs in particular, so that he could establish a stable government. His own relatives and co-religionists were opportunists and unreliable to him. To face the Afghans who were still powerful in different parts of India, Akbar was interested to have personal relationship with the Rajputs. He also took some measures. He abolished jizya in the year 1564. It's a kind of tax on non-Muslims. The Delhi Sultans had imposed various taxes on the Hindus to impoverish them deliberately. Akbar abolished jizya in the year 1564, the oppressive taxes which were paid by the non-Muslims. It's really appreciable a measure taken by Akbar. Besides this, he also granted equal status to the Rajputs, respect for cow, slaughtering of cow was prohibited in his empire, and he also took aggressive policy towards offending Rajput rulers. Akbar sought friendship of Rajputs. He wanted to raise a stable empire and the willing cooperation of his subjects. So he adopted a policy of conciliation towards the Rajputs, particularly as they formed the military warrior classes of the society. As an imperialist, he, of course, could not tolerate their independence. Akbar's Rajput policy was that Rajputs should first be subdued and then conciliated. Now let us focus on the impact of Rajput policy. This policy led to the expansion and consolidation of the Mughal Empire. It served to the political needs of the empire. An environment of goodwill was developed. Many social reforms took place in medieval India during Akbar's reign. Cultural unity also emerged between Hindu and Muslims. Mughals got the military service of Rajput warriors. As a conclusion, Rajput policy of Akbar led to the military, political, administrative, economic, cultural, and artistic achievements of Akbar's period. Akbar rose above the petty prejudices of the age. He associated the Rajputs with himself on honorable terms in his ambitious enterprise. Before winding the session, let us have a quick recapitulation of the main points we have learned today. The chief features of Rajput policy of Akbar, impact of Rajput policy on the Mughal administration, reasons behind the Rajput policy, the tactics Akbar in using Rajput policy to bring the Hindu Muslims closer. The books I referred to prepare my talks are History of Medieval India by S.B. Sharma and selfstudyhistory.com. I hope you would have enjoyed the session and got more information too. Thank you so much.